News Talk K20 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. What a night with you so far. Having a lot of fun. I love our Friday nights together. I really do. And then also what's kind of cool, since we're just kind of hanging out tonight, is what do I do when I go home? I don't know about you. When I get home, tonight my wife's having, these nights are fun. My wife has Friday nights with her girlfriends, you know what I mean? And some are on the neighborhood, on a block, from the neighborhood. I cherish those friendships because neighbors are so important to your mental health and your ability, and it's your community. So I know a lot of my neighbors, and I'm proud of that, and I like that. You should too. If you don't, that's really problematic. And I suggest you just go over and say hi, introduce yourself, even if they've lived there for 5 years and you just haven't met them. It builds a stronger sense of community, and also we start helping each other out more. And that's how you have a safer and better neighborhood. So we have some really good friends and some fun people and some people we laugh with. I'll mock them when they're mowing the lawn next to my house. I'll be like, hey, can you come over here? You missed my spot over here. Finish this up. Not mock them, but pick on them or have fun with them. Okay. And always can get help from them too, and vice versa, help them. All right, so this story, I like it because I can so relate to it, and I think we all can. How long do drivers ignore the check engine light? The answers may shock you. Well, let's see. And this also brings into my mind about, like, my wife, when there's a problem with the car. Oh, yeah, I've been meaning to tell you, I'm like, how long has this been going on? Well, it's been about, a month or two. What? I don't know about you, but I am all about maintenance. Do you know why? Sometimes it sucks because there's a lot of money you got to put down. But the reason why, and I'm sure, just as sure as you know what, my car will break down tomorrow. Now that I'm saying all this, how. But my mechanic is incredible. I've told you about him on and off for years. He's been my guy for like 14 years now. No, like 13 years now at least. He is so awesome, so honest. My wife, here we go. We've never met his wife. We know all about her. She works at a nursing home community. She drives a Lexus. Just lots of different things we know about her, right? And there was a reason my wife, she needed to talk to his wife for something. And I'm like, I picked up the phone. Like, hey, I just want to tell you, feel like I know you. I would give you a hug, but I can't because you're not here. And she was laughing. And then she talked to my wife for about an hour. Like, because she's heard a lot about us. I've heard a lot about him. I know that her brother's a radio guy in New Orleans. We talked. We connected, actually. I have his email. We've talked on the phone. It's nice to connect with other colleagues that do what he does, the exact same thing that I do in New Orleans. Anyways, how cool is that? So I'll hear stories from my mechanic, and we talk a lot whenever he comes over. But we're friends, and it's pretty cool to be really good friends with your mechanic and have a special relationship. And you know what else? Because of that, I actually call him. I can call him for anything related to my car in any way, even if it's like buying a car or a tire issue that he doesn't do tires because he's not a tire place. But he'll tell me, still go in depth with me because we're a loyal customer. We're like one of his most valued customers because we pay immediately. There's no shenanigans with us, and whatever he recommends, we do pretty much every time, even when it really sucks because of the price. You know why? When I listen to him, my cars don't have problems. Ever. When I follow his advice, they don't have problems ever. I just had to blow like $1,100 last month on brakes because every rotor and drum needed to be replaced and the pads and everything. We also had to do something else that was $150 or $200 or something. But okay, ignoring the check engine light for an average of 4 months. The average, according to a brand new survey that polled 2,000 American car owners, the average American ignores their check engine light for 4 months before finally seeing what the problem is. Do you have any idea how bad that is? Do you know what the problem is in your engine? Of course you don't. Do you know that you can buy I'm sure you know this. Some people are like yelling this part. You can you can buy a decoder thing or a coder thing. You just plug it in and it digitally shows you what the code means. It'll have a number, I think, and the number is just like, oh, that means your catalytic converter or your carburetor, or that means your car, it's not, whatever. There's a lot of stuff. Anyways, usually you can figure it out when you plug it in. My mechanic will do it, or did you know what he's told me to? If he can't get over right away, we can drive to. This is why there's no excuse for this. You can drive to an AutoZone. I prefer O'Reilly Auto Parts, but I think they do it too, since AutoZone does. I don't know, but you can pull up to any AutoZone and they'll come out and they'll plug it in and give you the reading like right away. You don't have to buy anything. It doesn't cost anything. Did you know that? Producer Gary, you didn't know that? Yeah, literally. If you have the check engine light, you can pull up to AutoZone, and somebody, unless they're terribly busy, somebody will come out like immediately. And if they're terribly busy, it might take a few minutes to get somebody out there, but eventually we get somebody out there, and it's free, and they'll do it. It's part of their job. So, I mean, dude, there's no excuse. This is pathetic. Even if you don't have the money, get it tested to see what it is, because it might be something that you can blow off for a while, or it might be something that's not. 1 in 5 drivers, look at this, 20% of all drivers put off the maintenance check on the check engine light for 6 and 18 months. Are you a moron? This reminds me of the guys on the ticket. One of them, one day, I don't listen to the ticket. I think they're a great station. I have mad respect for them. I grew up on Chicago radio, and not sports, because I'm not a sports guy, but and it's real radio, and that's what they do, and that's why they're so successful. But one of them was saying, I heard that they were saying they didn't realize they had to change their air filter on their HVAC system. And when they pulled, it wasn't working anymore, and they called a guy to come over, and he's like, "You never change your air filter." And he pulled it out, and there was like inches or something. I don't know what there was. It was a mound of disgusting dirt, dust, animal hair, whatever. That's what you find on those things, right? When I get my HVAC done like you're supposed to every spring and every fall for maintenance, and I change my filters, and they've taught me, it's unbelievable how little the amount of stuff that'll be on there, and you need to change it based on what they've told me. But you know what that means? My HVAC, by getting maintenance and by changing the filters regularly like you're supposed to, which is like, and the big fat ones like I have, you're supposed to do it every 6 months. It's not true at all. You might have to do it every 2 months based on how much it's used and if you have animals and how many animals you have in your house. But so same thing with the maintenance premise. So my question for you is, who's worse at getting your car maintained, you or your spouse? Who is worse at maintaining your car, you or your spouse? And have you had to pay for ignoring warnings about car issues? I love that one. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Who is worse at getting your car maintenance when it needs it? You know, delaying it or ignoring it, you or your spouse? Because this is always a fun thing about. I told you my wife, she'd be like, oh, I forgot to tell you. Yeah, what? Like the brakes are squeaking or grinding or something. What? Oh, yeah, the car has trouble starting up. How long has this been? I'm like, I would assume today, yesterday. No, it's about a month or two. What? What are you doing? What are you doing? We have a freaking mechanic. We've got money in the bank. Why? I forgot. I'm like, what the hell? You're trashing a car. I don't get too mad, but I'm like, oh my gosh. Because I used to freak out, but you don't do that. It's not healthy for your family, for your wife or your family. But it's her. Are you surprised, Producer Garrett, that it's my wife, not me, that delays this stuff? I don't sit on this schnizzle. When I need an oil change and it goes on, I usually get it. I start getting, not panicking, but nervous about it after 200-300 miles. I'm like, I know you can go 1,000 over, but it's much different. If it's highway miles, you can go over, 500 or 600, and it's not going to kill if it's all highway miles. But if it's not, that's really bad. My wife, when she was in high school, she didn't realize she had to change the oil, she told me, and her engine blew up. Like, I don't think it blew up and hurt anybody. It just blew up. Like the engine just went kaput, and that was it. Because she didn't realize, as a 16 or 17, which I understand, there's a lot of kids don't know what they're doing, a lot of chicks aren't into cars, and the ones that are, I have a lot of respect for. But it is what it is. But how about you? Who's worse at getting your car maintained, you or your spouse? And have you ever had to pay for ignoring warnings about cars, or maintenance with your car? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. My mechanic told me a story about a guy. He's like, dude, I would get that hose replaced. This needs to go. Well, I can put it off. And then like a month or two later, he called and said, I'm stuck on the side of the road between Dallas and Houston. And he's like, I'll come out there, but you're going to be paying a lot for me to come out there. And he always has this with me, be like, see, I told the guy, I told him. Telling his stories is funny. When he tells me to do something, I do it, even if I don't want to pay for it. We had a car. Well, we have one with 127,000 or 130,000 by now. I don't know. And we have one with 101,000. And I'm pretty sure we always talk to him. We had a car that had like 150 or 180. He's like, yeah, you can take it to. We're like, can we take this to Colorado, to the mountains? He said, yeah. You know why? Because he knows the car. He knows that I take care of it. He's familiar with it. He's like, oh, yeah, it's fine. Just make sure this is full and that's full. You're fine. Because he knows these cars. Because he knows we take care of them. Because he's familiar with them. 39% are likely to wait for a major problem or for something to actually break before they even consider bringing it in. This is the people that are living paycheck to paychecks because of Bidenflation, Bidenomics. It's understandably way worse, but you can't do this, dude. 35% end up regretting putting their car care off. You see that? Probably because it resulted in unexpected car repair fees. That's 40% regret putting off the car care. It's emotional stress, 22% even a roadside emergency. Anyways, the point is when you put it off, things go bad, and they go bad at the worst time. Almost half of everybody says they still push back getting their car serviced because of financial constraints. I want to tell you something about that. If you push back getting your car serviced because you can't afford it and you're making car payments, you're living beyond your means on that. I saw a Tesla today or yesterday, I forget, and the whole back window was out and the back end had some damage and it had a plastic wrap around it. You know what I thought of right away? I'm like, that person can't afford that Tesla, right? Make sense? Now, unless you had an emergency where it was beyond your control and it drained all your money, that's one thing. I would understand that. But if it's not and you can't afford to get that fixed, you can't afford that car. What should you do? Sell it and buy a beater car until you can save up the money to pay cash for something that actually is better. And then you pay to fix the beater car as it goes along. Always get your used car checked by a mechanic like I do mine. Wherever it is. If I got to drive an hour to a dealership, fine. He meets me, we go. I don't go an hour, but 30 minutes, 40 minutes sometimes. We've gone together. He looks at them. Or I bring him home on a test drive for, a day or two, like they let you have it over the weekend sometimes from a dealership, and he checks it out. Average resident spends more than $400 on car maintenance, $438. Yep, Americans are most likely to go to a dealership. This is where it's dumb. I never go to the dealership. 31% of Americans go to a dealership for service. That is the worst place you could ever go. You're paying double. Now, here's when you go to the dealership. If it's a recall, when I only go to the dealership? When I have to go for a repair. There's a battery for your, on these newer cars, there's a second tiny little battery. And it's for these disgustingly stupid things where I gotta push a button every time I get into my 2017, because it's that stupid Obama thing that was put in where it stops. If you stop at a stoplight, it'll cut the engine. And there's some kind of a battery in there. And when it goes out, the car doesn't start up. And that's only done at a dealership. You cannot do it. So I had to take that in for that. So, and then also, every other oil change, I pay at the dealership. I have a coupon. It's like $89, $100, because I have an extra couple quarts. I got a 6-quart or something like that. But I go to the dealership and pay like $89. And then every other oil change, my mechanic does it and charges me a considerable amount more, but he does a lot more to my car and checks it out and tells me that there's more issues. So I get it checked out from him at least twice a year. That's just what I do. But so I would never go to a dealership unless I had to, or I had a coupon to make it real cheap. And then a majority, 62%, get their cars serviced every 3 to 6 months. Well, there you go. All right. Coming up next to the Chris Kroc Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3, the National Institutes for Health finally admits that taxpayer-funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan, what did happen? We paid for the research in the Chinese lab that killed millions of people all over the world, including hundreds of thousands of Americans. We funded it. Dr. Fauci lied. He's a liar, and he should be jailed. I'll tell you what I think. Actually, I just did. Coming up next on the Chris Kroc Show, you're going to hear the NIH official, National Institutes Health official, admitting it in a hearing. That's next on the Chris Kroc Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Chris Kroc Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Trump allies. Wait, no. I meant to say this. There it is. National Institutes of Health finally admits taxpayer-funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan. It's all summed up when you hear the NIH admit it in the hearing, a congressional hearing. Dr. Tabak is one of the top guys there.
Dr. Tabak, did NIH fund gain-of-function research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology through EcoHealth?
It depends on your definition of gain-of-function research. If you're speaking about the generic term, yes, we did, but this is research. The generic term is research that goes on in many, many labs around the country. It is not regulated, and the reason it's not regulated is it poses no threat or harm to anybody.
What do you say about that? Do you think Fauci should go to jail now that we officially know he lied to us in Congress? He did. He's a total liar. He got us killed, and then he lied and covered it up. He's a liar, a cheat, and a killer. Do you want to stop all gain-of-function research that led to this pandemic as I do? Remember, I think it was former President Hussein Obama stopped it. And then they got around it, they got it lifted, and they went nuts, and they caused this, and they did it with our Chinese communist enemies. Do you think Fauci should go to jail now that we officially know that he lied to us in Congress? Do you want to stop all gain-of-function research that led to this pandemic? I sure do. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. And yes, you got to wonder, what about all the other countries we can't control? I did think about that. If the other countries do it, how do we make sure that we're also prepared to get an antidote and stuff like that? That's a scientist explanation to me about that. I don't know, but all I know is we can't do this anymore. We killed millions of people, and this is going to happen again. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Next, what salary do you need to make to be middle class in Texas? I'll tell you. Okay, salary, you need to be considered middle class in every state. It's close to $200,000 in two of them. Not here in Texas, though, as you would imagine. How many of us think we're middle class and maybe we're not? How many of us think we're upper middle class and maybe we're not? How many of us think we're even higher or lower than that? You know what matters is whatever we have, however much or however little, that we need to be grateful for what we do have. That's really important. Think about when we complained about our income level. Me included. My number one complaint that my wife would have, like, what's the one big thing you're tired of Chris doing? Saying we have no more money. We got no more money. We don't have any money. And, you know, every week I do the budget. I think I've told you I'm in the middle of doing a I'm doing a forensic audit of our spending over the past year. I'm almost done with 3 months, and then I'll do another. I'll just keep doing 3 months. You know what I mean? It might take me another 6 weeks or something, but I want to get a handle on where my money's going. I like the idea of spending it before I get it. You know what I'm saying? Not physically doing that, but knowing where it's going before I get it. Make sense? When the next check comes in, I know what's going where. And I'm not doing that. But every week when I do the budget, I still send my wife, we figured the easiest way to do it is not for me to tell her anything, just text her. Here's what we got left in our contingency fund. And if there's anything else, say, coming up, we're going to have this or that or whatever. So just be aware. But every time I say here's what we got left in the contingency fund, there's still several $1,000s in there. And she'll be like, oh, thank God we have that. Versus me saying, oh my gosh, it should be like twice that or 4 times that. You know. So you and I it doesn't matter how much you have, it'll never be enough. We'll never be satiated, most of us, and never be grateful, but we should. Well, I'm going to give you a few states. I deleted most of them because I'm not going to go over 50 states. I have California, Illinois, New York, and Texas, just to give us ideas of what middle class is considered in these areas. California, the middle class income range is $61,000 to $183,000. 61 to 183. Illinois, it is 52 to 156. Okay. New York, basically the 3 huge liberal, blue states where it's extremely expensive, right? New York is $54,000 to $162,000. Okay. In Texas, middle class income range is $48,000 to $146,000. I am not belittling $48,000, but my gosh, how hard is it to live off of $48,000 right now? You can do it though. There's people that do it and they're listening right now. They're like, Chris, I am fine, and I make $50,000. I'm telling you, when you look at this, and when you and I see stories, we hear stories from people, particularly for me, you really hear people's prayers and prayer requests and their life issues. Some of them are very, very tough, when you're everybody's giving their prayer requests, and you're like, you realize, oh my gosh, it could be so much more difficult for me right now. That person is going through hell, And I think that's what we need to realize. And we need to be grateful for what we do have and grateful for to look around you and say, look at what I have. Look at all of I have. I have this, I have this, I have this. I think a lot of us are not happy or satisfied, and I think it's wrong, me included. So I always recycle, I go in a cycle, and I'm finally like right now, I'm like, look at this. This is incredible, Chris. Look at this. I had that big addition I told you about, and it's gorgeous. And we added 400 square feet to our house. That's like 1, 2, 3, 4 rooms and a brand new garage attached to that. And it's like state of the art. It's got like it's got like a spaceship lights. I've got 8 dimmable lights. Then I have 2 8-foot strip lights in the garage. It's perfect. I have a HVAC unit in there. I finally got an insulated garage door, brand new one. I paid out the yin yang for all this, but you know what? It's good. It's nice. And when you realize, oh man, what was that like before? My garage was nasty. I can tell you that. Okay, so my question for you, I don't really have a question actually, is just when we complain about our income level, me included. So we need to realize that we have it very good and we need to be grateful. And that's true. I mean it. Any thoughts on that? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. They looked at what it is to be middle class in all 50 states. and they looked at the 2022 household median income because that's what was available. I mean, honestly, now it's probably an extra $5,000 on every number to be middle class. You know what I'm saying? 48 is probably in Texas to be middle class is probably 50, 55 now, based on how this Joe Biden inflation is insane. Speaking of which, did you hear the numbers on Trump? A brand new poll came out today with African American numbers. Holy wow! It went from in 2020. It was, I'm going to get this wrong. Basically, it went from 2020, it's up 15 points. The black vote is 15 points higher today for Trump than it was 4 years ago. 15 points higher. I was like, it's 23%. That's insane. The black vote, the polling literally says 23% of blacks are supporting Trump. And before it was, what's 15? It was 8. It was 8. I mean, I literally was like, wait, that can't be right. But no, I heard it on Fox News today. Trump went up 15 points in the black vote in 4 years today. That's from last time. It's amazing. And I think what a lot of people are saying is, in their analysis of this afternoon, they were saying, honestly, they may not like Trump. They may think he's nasty or whatever, but they remember what their wallets and their pocketbooks were. And that's what it is. And I agree. I mean, it's the same thing for me. Your pocketbook and your ability to live at a decent standard that you've lived at for the past several years is critical. It doesn't matter what your color is. But it's bringing people, the point they were making on this is listening to the analysis of this afternoon on Fox News, they're bringing people, all of us, to our knees. And when you're brought to your knees financially because of what an administration has done, you don't care about your loyalty to anybody because your freaking wallet's empty. And it wasn't 4 years ago. That transcends everything. All right, coming up next, man, I love these stories when I think somebody is wrong about handling a gun. And a tow truck driver, I think a lot of them are armed, and I think they should. I would be. Oh my gosh, would I be? But a tow truck driver, I might even open carry if I'm a tow truck driver. Because I don't open carry ever. I don't want to send any message. I don't want you to know anything. I don't want to inflame somebody, scare somebody, or let them know. I've never had to produce my weapon in my, 8 years, 10 years or so of being a licensed carrier. And you don't have to anymore, but I do. I am, and I keep it active. That means I get reciprocity. When I go through any state that has reciprocity with us, I can still carry concealed lawfully. And that's a beautiful thing. So when I go to Colorado, I already know for a fact I can carry through Texas, obviously, into New Mexico. They still have it. Thank God, even though they're a Democrat state, and then through up to Colorado, they still have it too. So I can go to Colorado and never change anything. And then I can go, when I go to the communist state of Illinois, my former home, my home state that I'm from, at least, whatever, I can carry with reciprocity, whether I go through Arkansas or I go through Oklahoma and then Missouri. They both allow it. All of them allow it. So, and then when you go through Arkansas, you go up through, I believe, through Tennessee, and they allow it too. So literally, it's just before I go over the border to Illinois, I have to break it down and put it in a safe. And to be extra safe, I store the ammo separate. I take all the ammo out of the magazine, put the magazine, the ammo, and the gun, and I have it open. You know what I'm saying? Like I forget what the terminology is, but you have it pulled back, cocked back, and you hold it there. You slip up the button, and then it stays. So you can see there's nothing in the chamber. It's just wide open with nothing. That way, and you put it in a lock safe and you put it in your back, way back. And I have an SUV and it's not sealed off like a trunk, but it doesn't matter. It's out of reach for anybody in the front seat. And that's the best you can do. And that way, if I get pulled over, I won't have an issue. But that's why I love it. So, but okay, so a truck driver does something wrongly, even though he's lawfully carrying and should use the protection of a gun, but I think he uses it incorrectly. I'll explain that and tell you about it coming up next. It happened in Plano on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Okay, so Plano police. Man arrested for attacking tow truck driver, reports WFAA TV Channel 8. Okay, so the tow truck driver, as you would imagine, you got to be sneaky. You don't want to do it when it's obvious so that the guy comes out and gets all nasty with you, or the gal. And the stories that they have are incredible, I'm sure. And if you want to share some as a tow truck driver, call in at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. I imagine you'll have a criticism or a support of this, what this guy did. It's 2:30 in the morning, Friday in Plano. And the guy's hitching up a woman's car. He was in the process of towing a car that he'd been asked to remove from the premises when a woman and her son approached them. The son used a bar to hit the tow truck driver 3 times in the head. A bar is a deadly weapon. It's like a bat. That's a deadly weapon. It can kill you if you get hit the right way. That is deadly force, and that is righteous use of a firearm against it. Okay? It's also lawful to produce your firearm and point it at the man to de-escalate the situation before he hits you. But once he hits you or is about to hit you, you can pop him and drop him. Not that you want to. Nobody wants to take a life, but that's what it's there for. To stop him. And if he goes at you, like, there was that cop that shot and killed that guy on the side of a road, a guy that was nuts. He said he was going to kill his wife, on his way to kill his wife. He got in a fight with construction people. I forget what that was. It happened the other day. It was all over social media and everything. It was Ohio or something. I don't know where it was. But yeah, producer Garrett, go ahead and pull that up. It was what happened was there was a guy who got in a fight. He dragged a construction worker and started beating on him, and then the cops showed up, and the guy had a tool like a screwdriver or something in his hand that can be used as a deadly weapon, and the cop tried to arrest him, and it turned out he was on his way to kill his mom or his family or something. Literally, he had called 911 and said he was going to go do it, and he was on his way. And then he charged the cop, and the cop had a gun on him and said, drop it, and he didn't drop it, and he charged towards the cop with it in his hands. The cop shot him. It's the same thing as the pipe. I mean, if you're coming at me with a pipe, I'm going to shoot you. And if I don't have time to, I'm going to get, when I have a moment to pull it out, I'm going to shoot it and stop you. But that's not what the tow truck driver did. The man and his mom came out of there, and a woman came. Oh yeah, it was a woman and her son approached him. The son had a bar in his hand. He hit the tow truck driver 3 times in the head. While this man was the tow truck driver was getting hit, he pulled out a gun and fired a round off in an attempt to get the son to stop hitting him. That round was lodged in a tire. No other damage or injuries sustained as a result of the gunshot. It was the tow truck driver's son. According to police, it was the tow truck driver's son who was also on the scene, who was yelling because there was witnesses, like a bunch of witnesses called in Plano, or at least people in the neighborhood. They heard somebody yelling to put the gun down. It was his son who was with him on the tow truck pickup. Police said the son of the car owner was arrested for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Do you understand? That's exactly what I was saying. Ag assault with a deadly weapon is a precursor to murder. There's nothing between ag assault with a deadly weapon and murder. And deadly weapon is literally deadly force. So this guy was wrong to shoot a warning shot. That is, I'm going to tell you right now, that is absolute. I can't say what I want to say, but I'll say this. This is the most stupidest thing you could ever do as a gun owner. You have no idea what you're doing. You have not been trained, and you've not had people that are experts or gun instructors in Texas law, that know Texas law, that are training you, or concealed carry, anybody, because you never fire a warning shot. It is illegal. I repeat, it is illegal to fire a warning shot. In Texas, you're discharging a firearm unlawfully. People die when you shoot a gun and not at the target. When you shoot it up randomly somewhere, you are literally being an idiot. You're an idiot when you do that. And you're going to kill one of us. He could have killed somebody. You know what? And if he would have killed some lady driving by or whatever next door in the neighborhood, that could go through a window and kill somebody. That was terrible gun handling, and it was illegal. And he should be charged with that. I think the only reason they're not is because he was being attacked with aggravated assault, deadly weapon, and so in the chaos, that's fine. I'm fine with them not charging, but I'm going to tell you something right now. Don't ever freaking do this. You're an idiot if you do that. You have no idea what you're doing. If you have no idea what you're doing, don't own a gun. I am not an expert. I'm not even saying I would be a good shot in a situation where it's kinetic and chaos. I'm not. I'm not here to say I'm awesome. I'm not. I repeat, I am not. But I've been trained by people who are experts. And when somebody is coming at you with a pipe or they already hit you, that's imminent, serious great bodily injury or death and harm. So you shoot them, and you shoot them to stop the threat, right in center mass in the chest. If they die, it's terrible. If they don't, then great. Okay. All right. So he should have shot the guy in the chest. He didn't. The guy stopped, I guess, and he got arrested and charged. But, dude, if you're pulling out your weapon, be prepared to use it. And if you do, don't fire a warning shot or fire somebody else or some other place. Shoot the target. Produce it, point it to de-escalate it, or produce it and show it, and then de-escalate it. If they come at you more, you gotta shoot them. All right, that's what you do. That's what the law wants you to do as well.